Sheng Shao You sat alone in the dark, the silence of the night pressing against his ears like an unbearable weight. The world outside continued as if nothing had changed. The city lights blinked in the distance. The faint hum of traffic echoed through the air. And yet here, within the suffocating walls of his room, everything had shifted beyond recognition. He had always thought of himself as untouchable, proud, a pillar that nothing could shake. But now, with one truth carved into his very being, that illusion shattered like fragile glass. He was pregnant. Pregnant with Hu Yong's child. Every time he thought the words, his stomach twisted, his mind recoiled, and his chest grew tight with a fear that refused to leave. He had faced humiliation, betrayal, and manipulation. But this was different. This was permanent. This was binding. He pressed a hand to his stomach, fingers trembling as if touching a wound. It wasn't visible yet, but the knowledge burned inside him like a brand. His body no longer felt like his own. It felt hijacked, rewritten, claimed. Each breath brought with it the awareness that something foreign now lived within him, tethering him irrevocably to the man he had tried so hard to hate. Rage welled in his chest, hot and choking, but beneath it was another feeling he couldn't admit, not even to himself. A flicker of warmth, a terrifying whisper of something that wasn't entirely revulsion. That whisper terrified him more than the pregnancy itself, because it meant Hu Yong had reached deeper into him than he had ever wanted to allow. When Hu Yong entered without knocking, Sheng's body tensed as though struck. His instincts screamed at him to rise, to scream, to fight, but the exhaustion in his bones anchored him to the chair. Hua moved through the room with the calm assurance of someone who knew he belonged wherever he stood. His gaze fell on Sheng, then lowered deliberately to the place where Sheng's hand still rested on his stomach. There was no surprise in his eyes, no guilt, only the certainty of a man who had already accounted for every possible reaction. Sheng hated him for that certainty, hated how he always seemed in control, hated how powerless he felt in comparison. "You shouldn't dwell on it too much," Hua said quietly, his voice carrying an edge of authority that left no room for argument. "The more you fight it, the more it will eat you alive." Sheng laughed bitterly, the sound raw and broken. "You dare to speak as if this is something I can simply accept. You ruined me, Hu Yong. You lied, manipulated, and trapped me, and now you've given me this." His voice cracked, the words strangled by a sob he refused to let out. He turned his face away, unwilling to let Hua see his weakness. But Hua was relentless. He stepped closer, his hand lifting as if to touch Sheng's shoulder. Sheng flinched violently, knocking his chair back as he stumbled to his feet. "Don't touch me!" he spat, his eyes flashing with fury. "Do you think I'll let you comfort me now? Do you think your lies can be smoothed over with a gentle voice? I hate you, Hu Yong. I hate everything you've done to me." Hua didn't flinch. He simply looked at him, calm, steady, as though Sheng's rage were nothing more than the storm of a child. "You don't hate me," Hua said softly, his words like poison disguised as honey. "You hate the way I've broken the illusions you wrapped around yourself. You hate the way I forced you to see who you truly are. But you don't hate me." Sheng's chest heaved, fury and despair clawing through him. He wanted to deny it, to scream the words again, but his throat closed around the lie. Because the truth was more complicated, more twisted than hatred alone. He couldn't forget the way Hua's touch had made him tremble, the way his voice could unravel him, the way his presence filled every shadow of his life. Even now, when he should have felt nothing but disgust, his body remembered the heat, the surrender, the nights that bound them together. It was that betrayal of his own heart that left him feeling most broken of all. "You're wrong," Sheng whispered, though his voice lacked conviction. His hands shook as he curled them into fists, nails biting into his palms. "I don't want this. I never wanted this, and I will never accept it. Do you hear me?" "Never." For a moment, Hua simply studied him, his gaze unreadable. Then, slowly, he crossed the space between them, each step measured, unhurried, deliberate. Sheng backed away instinctively until his back hit the wall, trapping him. Hua stopped just short of touching him, his presence overwhelming, his scent filling Sheng's lungs until he could hardly breathe. "You say never," Hua murmured, his voice low and steady. "But the body doesn't lie, and neither does the bond between us. This child is not just mine, it is yours. Flesh of your flesh, blood of your blood. Deny me all you want, Sheng Shao You, but can you truly deny them?" Sheng froze, his chest rising and falling in shallow gasps. The words cut deeper than any accusation. He had told himself again and again that this was nothing more than a cruel trick, a chain forged by deception. But when Hua spoke of the child, something inside him faltered. A vision flickered unbidden in his mind. Tiny hands, fragile breath, a life that had not asked to exist but now grew within him. Could he truly deny that? Could he truly hate something so innocent, even if it was Huya's? The thought shattered him. Tears slipped down his cheeks before he could stop them, hot and humiliating. He sank to the floor, his strength collapsing under the weight of everything he refused to feel. "Why me?" he whispered brokenly, his voice trembling with anguish. Why did it have to be me? For once, Hua didn't answer with certainty. He crouched before Sheng, his face close but not touching, his voice softer than Sheng had ever heard it. "Because it was always meant to be you," he said. And for the briefest moment, there was no dominance, no manipulation, no arrogance, only a raw honesty that left Sheng breathless. "You belong to me, Sheng, and now, more than ever, I belong to you, whether you accept it or not." Sheng shut his eyes, his heart torn between fury and despair, between the desperate need to escape and the terrifying pull to stay. He wanted to scream, to shove Hua away, to break free of the chains he had been bound in for so long. But when he pressed a hand against his stomach again, feeling the weight of the life inside him, the scream never came. Because deep down beneath all the hatred and fear, he knew one thing with crushing certainty: he could never truly escape. And Hu Yong knew it too. The following days were a blur of unease and tension, each moment stretching endlessly as Sheng Shao You grappled with the reality of his pregnancy. Every movement felt heavier, every breath more labored, and every thought consumed by the one question that refused to leave his mind. How could this be? How could an alpha like him carry a child, let alone one conceived with Hua Yong, a man who had shattered every rule and expectation of his life? He wandered through his home like a ghost, touching nothing, speaking to no one, haunted by the tiny, impossible life growing inside him. There was a storm of anger in his chest, a relentless tide of betrayal that threatened to drown him. Yet beneath it all was an unbidden, terrifying fascination with the truth he could not ignore. It was as though part of him, deep and dark, was acknowledging a reality he had spent years refusing to see. Hua Yong had always been in control, and now he had claimed the ultimate proof of that control. Sheng tried to convince himself he could fight it. He paced the room for hours, fists clenching, nails digging into his palms until they hurt, repeating the words over and over. "I will not accept this. I will not let him have this power over me." And yet, every time he raised his voice, it sounded hollow to his own ears. Hua Yong's presence was everywhere, lingering in the scent he had left on the bed, in the way the sunlight caught the curve of the desk where the test result had been, in the faint echo of his voice whispering that it was inevitable. No matter how far Sheng tried to push it away, he could not escape the gravity of the enigma who had ensnared him for years. The realization was suffocating. He was no longer just Sheng Shao You, the unyielding alpha heir of his family. He was something else now, something inextricably linked to Hua Yong, and the tiny life growing inside him was proof that the bond could not be broken. When Hua finally entered the room, as he always seemed to know when to, Sheng's body reacted before his mind could. He wanted to recoil, to scream, to tell him to leave and never come back. Yet the very air seemed to pull him forward, binding him with invisible chains. Hua Yong's eyes softened, almost imperceptibly, as he approached, and Sheng felt the old fire of resistance ignite and die all at once. "You look tired," Hua said quietly. But the simplicity of the words carried an authority that crushed any thought of defiance. You need rest, Sheng. You're carrying something precious now. Something neither of us can take lightly. Sheng clenched his jaw, anger flaring. Don't pretend this is about care. You've manipulated every part of my life. You've made me yours, and now you've tied me to you in the most permanent way possible. You've turned my body into a prison. Hua tilted his head, a slow, deliberate motion that sent chills down Sheng's spine. No, Sheng, it is not a prison. It is proof. Proof that what I've always wanted, what we've always been destined for, is real. You may not see it yet, but it is our reality now. And I will not let you run from it, no matter how much you want to. Sheng's chest heaved with frustration and fear, the conflict inside him waging a battle he could not win. He had spent his life mastering control, dominating situations, bending the world to his will. And yet here he was, powerless against the most intimate invasion of his autonomy. Hu Yong had always been manipulative, yes, but this was something beyond anything he had imagined. It was intimate, invasive, and impossible to deny.